Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be going over the different types of targeting on the Google Display Network. So those things have kind of changed over the last several years, and there's been kind of more of a push to target specific audiences rather than target content. So for example, the introduction of remarketing, they have better in-market audiences, different things like that. There's more targeting options on the Google Display Network now. So I'm going to go through each and everything you should consider when you're creating a display campaign. And let's just get started here. So we're going to click the plus button up here to start a new campaign. And our goal is going to be sales. So for this example, I'm going to make a display campaign for beachfrontdecor.com. So the ultimate goal is going to be to drive sales on the website. So what we're going to do is create a display campaign, a standard display campaign. We have a separate Gmail ads tutorial if you like to click, if you want to check that out on our channel. But you can enter your website here, and it'll help as you're going through the process. So we're just going to add it here, beachfrontdecor.com, and we're going to click continue. So it's going to say type display campaign. Our goal is sales. Display campaign name is going to be anything, beachfront decor display targeting. So the first thing you have to consider is location. So what I like to do is use Google Analytics to basically come up with location targeting, language targeting, geo targeting, or demographic targeting, pretty much every type of thing you can think of. I know locations and geo are the same thing, but so I like to use Google Analytics to find who my best customers are, and I start my display campaigns there. So we're going to come over here to Google Analytics, and I've already opened under audience, so I'm under beachfront decor for audience, geo, location. So what I want to do is it's going to pull up all the different countries that I get traffic from. So I'm going to do is click United States. So all the different regions it's going to pull up is states now. So what you can do is break it down more by city, by metro. If we look up here, you can kind of look at a map that shows where most of the traffic comes from. So obviously beachfront decor, the traffic's going to come on the coast. So a state like South Dakota, not many people looking for beach decor. That's kind of where you want to why you want to use location targeting, is to see where are the people located who are visiting your website. So for me, what I like to do is just target some of these coastal states here, because that's really where most of my traffic and sales come from. Pennsylvania is also a big one here, even though it's not necessarily right on the beach. They go to the Jersey for the beach. So and then California, obviously a big one as well. Surprisingly, Hawaii not too big, but that might still be something that I'd want to include, just because there are plenty of people in Hawaii, with beach homes, with beach decor. So coming back over to Google, what we're going to do is I like to use advanced search. You can add locations in bulk. So what I can do is just do Florida. Okay, so these are some of my most popular states here: Florida, California, New York, Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. And I'm doing location, add locations in bulk, and we're going to click search here, and it's going to pull up all the different locations. So the one you have to always watch for this. So Georgia, it pulls up the country a lot. So right now it's targeting the country of Georgia, so I'm just going to get rid of that. I'll add that in later. So I'm just going to click on target all, and you'll see the map. We're targeting, a lot of eastern states. I would add Georgia and add more here, but I'm just going to save it for now. But use your Google Analytics geographic data to dictate what locations you're targeting. You can also use conversion rates and things like that to see where people are, where people drive the most sales. So Massachusetts, kind of a low interaction compared to some of these other areas, so I might want to exclude Massachusetts. But for now, I'm just going to target all these areas, target all the coastal regions where people are most likely to be looking for beach decor pretty much year round. So we have our locations here. Under location options, I love to click on people in my targeted locations. I don't like to do people who are looking at my targeted locations, whether it's a vacation, whether it's something like that. I don't know that they're that interested in beach decor. Languages, so use Google Analytics for this as well. So English is my primary language that my customers speak on my website. So bidding, I like to focus on conversions. So we started the campaign as a display campaign to drive sales. So what I'm going to do is conversions, and I'm going to manually set bids, and it's going to say pay for clicks. And so my bidding strategy is going to be a manual CPC with an enhanced bidding strategy with a goal of conversions. So that's kind of how you want to do it. I don't like to just bid for traffic, because there's not a ton of value in traffic anymore. It's just not something that you get a lot of return on your investment for. So you want conversions, whether it's leads, sales. You want people to take action on your website and not just visit and leave. So we're going to scroll down a little bit. So budget, so just, whatever your budget is, just enter it here. This is going to be your daily budget. The best way to look at it is to look at the number of days in a month. So you would just do like 15 times 30, 31, whatever. Um, and that's basically what Google is going to spend for the month for you. So 15 times 30, if let's make it a little easier. If it's 10 times 30, they're going to spend $300 for you. So that's kind of how budgets work throughout the month. So you're going to have days where you spend 20, days where you spend 10, and overall it just averages out. So we're going to keep going down. So there's additional settings here that you can look at. So ad rotation, ad schedule, start and end dates, devices, frequency capping. So it's going to say let Google optimize how often your ads show. So that's fine. I do frequency capping for remarketing for the most part. So campaign URL options. So if you have any specific things you for tracking your campaigns, you can enter that there. Dynamic ads. So you need a data feed for dynamic ads. I don't have one for beachfront decor, but that's something that maybe we can do a tutorial, a follow-up tutorial for that. Content exclusions. So if you want to exclude any types of content, so maybe tragedy and conflict, sensitive social issues, profanity and rough language. So for me, I would do that just because I don't really want to try to sell beach decor to, where people are looking at sensitive content. So trying to keep things just, content suitable for families, things like that. So I'll take out mature audience as well for the digital content label. So I generally do this for most of my display campaigns because I'd rather not show my ads alongside some of these things. Okay, so now we're getting down to our targeting here. So our first ad group, I'm just going to keep it ad group 1. The best way that I find to create display campaigns is either to separate out all of your targeting into separate campaigns, or what I like to do is create separate ad groups for the different types of targeting that I'm using. So it really depends on a matter of preference. It depends on how big your budget is. If you have a bigger budget, I would recommend creating separate display campaigns and then trying to optimize each of them individually using different audiences and different types of targeting. So what I'm going to do is just pretend like I'm creating different ad groups when I'm showing you different types of audiences here. But now let's get into targeting. So this is the most important part of the video really here. So the main thing that Google has switched to is audience targeting. So it's going to be remarketing and similar audiences, in-market and custom intent audiences, and affinity and custom affinity audiences. And the way I would look at these is these people are the most likely to convert. These people are generally the second most likely to convert, and these people are generally the third and least likely to convert. So affinity and custom affinity is going to be more of a branding type play, whereas remarketing and similar audiences, in-market and custom intent audiences are going to be people that you want to show your ads to so that they buy something from you or leave their information, whatever your conversion is. So under demographics here, real quick, another thing I like to do is use Google Analytics for my demographics. So I opened it here. So if you open your audience demographics overview, so since June, it's showing that the main age that my users are is 55 to 64, and the main gender is female. So what we're going to do is come over here, and what you would do is maybe take out unknown, take out male, and what I would do is probably keep 45 to 64, and I would even do 65 plus, maybe get rid of unknown, and I'm going to get rid of some of these lower ages here because they're not as popular on my website. The other way you can look at this is to see which ages are the most likely to convert, which ages give you the best conversion rates, things like that. So parental status, that's another thing you can look at. Household income, another thing you can look at. So when it comes to home decor, I prefer not to target the lower 50% just because home decor is kind of it's not something you need. It's more something that you're going out to look for, to buy, to add to your home. So if it's, I'd rather look for higher income, household income individuals. I'd also get rid of unknown a lot of times. So just try to get people in the top 50% of household income. I think they're going to be more likely to buy and more likely to buy some of my big ticket items. So we're going to click done here. So that's how you kind of do demographics. Use Google Analytics to decide which demographics are the best for you here. So just come over to demographics overview. You can break it down more and look at, conversion rates and things like that. For me, my best conversion rates are right here. And my, the best conversion rate for me is female. So we're going to come back up to audiences here. So I'm going to go through the different types of audiences you could target. So first we're going to click here. So this is our remarketing audiences, our similar audiences, anything like that. So website users, I have all users 670. I have 160 on a Google Smart List. newsletter conversion, so people who have signed up for my newsletter. So what I'm going to do is just click all users for right now and just kind of show this. So it's showing I'm not going to get a ton of reach here because it's only 670. We actually get more traffic, so that might be a smaller audience than I anticipated. I thought it'd be more in the thousands. So maybe the way it's set up isn't correct right now. Combine lists, so you can combine some of your lists. I think my all users audience is actually my AdWords optimized list. But these are some of the different audiences you can target. Similar audiences are going to be created automatically. So when you create the different audiences in your account, it's going to automatically say, okay, we have this 5,000 people to look at, and we have a audience 110,000 that's very, very similar to those people in terms of demographics, in terms of interests, in terms of their browsing histories, things that they do. So they're going to put people into buckets based on the things that they do online, based on their demographics, based on their location. So similar audiences, I highly recommend using them. What I would do is separate them out, though. I wouldn't target these together, so I would just do one at a time. So I would get rid of similar and just target all users for one. I'm big on remarketing. There's so many different remarketing strategies and things like that. If you have an e-commerce website, dynamic retargeting is the best possible thing you can do, because when people are looking at specific products and then they get ads for those products, it's better than someone goes and visits my website, leaves, and gets a broad ad. So that's kind of the best practice here, but it's a little bit more difficult to set up there. So that's remarketing and similar audiences. Right now we just have all users here. I'm going to clear it, but what you can do is create audiences using Google Analytics. So under Google Analytics, if you go to the admin screen here, so under audience definition, audiences, so you can see there's just a bunch of different audiences here, and I actually haven't published a lot of them there. So I have one for betting, I have all users, new visitors for the last 30 days, a Google Smart List. So what you want to do is create these audiences and make sure you publish them to AdWords. I actually haven't published them fully to AdWords here. They're actually published in my different account. So just some different examples here that you can use. So just so you know how to use website visitors, I like to create audiences using Google Analytics. We have tutorials for how to do that on our channel, so just make sure you check those out. We have a couple different remarketing tutorials. So that's basically your best option for driving conversions, is how they interacted with your business, because those people have actively showed interest in what you're doing. So come over here, get rid of all users. So the next one is in-market and custom intent audiences. So custom intent audiences are pretty new. You can actually create your own custom intent audiences, and Google will create them automatically when you start getting more. When you create campaigns and they start getting more data, they'll create audiences that they think are more likely to convert for you. So it's definitely a testing thing. I mean, if you've learned one thing from this tutorial, you need to test targeting to see what works for you. You need to test different offers to see what works for you. But just kind of showing you a quick example of a new custom intent audience. What I would do is something like beach decor, and then I enter keywords and URLs related to the products and services that this audience is actively researching. So it's pulling up ideas here. But what I would do is add things like coastalliving.com. I would add beach decor keyword, nautical decor keyword. So here you go. They have a bunch of ideas here. So let's just do add all, because it all seems pretty relevant here. And we're just going to do create. So now we have a beach decor custom intent audience. It's pretty tight here, so less than 1 impressions it's showing. It's saying your reach is very low. Please expand your targeting. So you can keep adding to your intent audiences, or you can create a few of them. Just some different options that you have. But you create them using keywords and websites that your customers would potentially visit. So for beachfront decor, I would use, coastalliving.com. Really any beach home decor website. There's a lot of smaller ones. I would enter those ones. So just a lot of different options there. But I wouldn't want to enter something like Amazon.com or something, like Wayfair.com, because it's so broad. So just definitely keep things very tight there. So that's custom intent audiences. So you can create them automatically, and they'll also create them for you. The other option is in-market audiences. So the best way to look at these is people that are actively looking for something new to buy, and Google will put them into these different buckets basically where you can target them. So I opened here before. These are affinity audiences. Down here is in-market segments. So obviously for beachfront decor, you can, it kind of makes the most sense here. Home and garden, home decor, home furnishings, home and garden services, home improvement, real estate, and then it starts getting a little bit lower down here. So these aren't as relevant. Travel, hotels, and accommodations, that's popular too because obviously beach, plenty of travel with that. So definitely want to target this home and garden home decor, home and garden home furnishings, and I would do home and garden services and home improvement. So the way to do that is to come into your in market here, come down to home and garden, and then we're just going to click on all the different ones that were the best for us. And I might just do something like home decor and home furnishings and see what my reach is. Let's see. Okay, so plenty of reach with just those two, and the people who are visiting my website are most likely to be into those categories, actively looking for new home decor and new home furnishings. So what we're going to do is target those two here. And again, when you're targeting different audiences, if you layer in locations with in-market audiences, with ages, with genders, with household incomes, all those different things, when you're using those, it helps you really narrow down to people who are more likely to buy from you. So I love in-market audiences. I've started using custom intent audiences more often, and just they work pretty well, especially compared to affinity audiences. So for these, it's really not the best. It's going to be very broad, and it's just not something that's going to perform very well in my experience. So if you look at affinity audiences, so I have opened it over here. There we go. So I have some affinity audiences open here. So you could see food and dining, cooking enthusiasts, 30-minute chefs. These are just people that have an interest in cooking. Shoppers and value shoppers. So this wouldn't be bad. Shoppers and bargain hunters, that wouldn't be bad either. So maybe I do home and garden, home decor enthusiasts, because those people are the most likely to buy home decor. But it's broad, and I wouldn't want to just target, home and garden, home decor enthusiasts, because I don't know if they're actively looking for anything. I don't know if they like beach decor. I don't know what they're into, anything like that. I just know it's this wide, broad audience of people who are likely to buy home decor at any time throughout the year, but maybe not right this second. So one thing you can do is try to kind of layer different targeting here. So see if maybe you can see home and garden. We'll come to our in market again. Oop. We'll click on home and garden there. So that's going to expand the reach a little bit. So you can just kind of try to target some of these different audiences and see what performs best for you. But I like to use in-market and custom intent audiences. And basically the best way I look at it is remarketing and similar audiences perform best. In-market and custom intent perform second best, and affinity and custom affinity perform third best. So we're going to keep this just checked for now, and I'll show you a little bit more. So we showed you demographics, and now the last thing to show is content targeting. So there's three different options here: keywords, topics, placements. Keywords, it's going to be content based on, I'm going to click not now. It's going to be keywords based on the content that people are, people who are visiting your website. So beach home decor, it's going to show different relevance scores, coastal decor, coastal furniture. Now what this is showing is these are the types of content where I want my ads to show. So what you're doing now is you're narrowing down your audience. So we have home decor enthusiasts, and we're targeting these different demographics, and I'm narrowing it down to only content that would be related to beach home decor, and coastal furniture. So it's going to very much narrow down things for us. It went from basically, I think, 1.7 billion was it to 210,000. So it really narrows things down, but it's a great way to do it because you can make sure that your ads are showing on websites that kind of match with what people are looking for. So I like to kind of layer in. The best way to do these different targeting is to layer in some different options, and then trying to find the right people at the right time. That's really the goal here. So I'm going to create an actual audience that I would target. Besides a remarketing, I generally don't narrow down remarketing audiences at all. So we're going to come back here, and we're going to click on in-market and custom intent, and I'm going to use those two in-market audiences before. So this is definitely something that I would actually target. So come to home and garden and look for people who are actively looking for home decor, home furnishings, and I'm even going to add home improvement. So these people are actively looking for those things. and we're going to click done. Okay, so we have our 3 targeted audiences. We're narrowing it down based on different demographics. We've already narrowed it down based on different locations where people are located. So we're going to come down to keywords, placements, and we're going to add a bunch of keywords here. So we'll do beach decor, nautical home, beach room decor, beach furniture. Okay, so these are all pretty good here. We're going to click done. And it's using beachfront decor for that's why it's good to enter your domain when you're creating the campaign, is because it's using beachfront decor to find different targeted keywords. If I go to content targeting, you can narrow it down by topics. I generally don't do topics, so this is the one thing I really don't do. So I'm not going to do it because I don't ever use topics. It's just it's a content thing that I find a little bit too broad, because arts and entertainment, autos, and it's just very broad to me, and I never find the success I'm looking for. So I'm not going to do anything with topics. You can do that if you want. It's just limiting things to a certain subject. So, and now last but not least, placements. So placements is where your ads show. So what I can do is just come up here and do beach decor, click enter, and it's going to pull up 415 websites, 1,000 plus YouTube channels, 1,000 plus YouTube videos, and it's not all going to be relevant, but I always find the websites to be pretty relevant. So if I come through here, you'll see a few things that would match for it. It's not perfect. I would like them to be a little bit better, but I would go through that and add some of those websites. I don't think YouTube channels are usually that great. So coastal living would be fine. I'd have to look at some of these YouTube channels to see what the whole point of them is. Sometimes, like, NJ Shore Beach Life, so that's not a bad channel for me. But I don't know what some of these other ones are about. So usually I open another page and I'm kind of looking up, okay, what's this YouTube channel? What's this YouTube channel? You could also do specific YouTube videos. For beach, it's up and down for beach. So these ones are pretty good actually. So I could actually target a lot of these things. And when people are looking at these videos, it might say, beach home decor ad. Then people find my website. And hopefully, even if you don't get a new customer, you should have things on your website where it's like, follow you on social media, so people can continue to follow along with your content, even if they're not buying anything from you. So that's why, targeting some of these different placements is good, because nobody's looking at those videos unless they have a beach home and they love those types of things. Apps generally aren't great for home decor, but there's some decent ones here. The problem is that beach decor and home decor, it's just very broad. Overall, beach is just a narrow segment of that. So you can enter multiple placements here. You can use Google basically to try to find different websites where your ad can appear. But that's just kind of how you narrow things down a little bit. I like to use a combination of keywords. Sometimes I'll use placements depending on, how many impressions I have, but this is pretty good right here. So content selections restrict my impressions by 99%. I think that's a good thing because it means that my ads are more likely to show on content that's relevant to beach home decor. So it's going to show weekly estimates. So if I bid $2.12, which I would actually bid less, it's showing these are the range that I'm going to get per week, 110 to 340 clicks. An average CPC is going to depend on, how competitive everything is when I'm targeting these audiences, overall impressions, and click through rate. So that's pretty much it for when you're targeting. I mean, obviously we have to create ads, but I'm not going to do that in this video. I would do an ad group bid. To start, usually I start like $1.25. Sometimes I'll start even lower. So I'll start at 0.75. It depends on what I'm targeting for. This one I would probably start pretty low and then go up as I, depending on how the results came in. Now, automated targeting, you can do conservative automation, no automated targeting, or aggressive automation. I like to use conservatives. That means that Google can go outside of your targeting a little bit, to find other customers that are very similar but maybe don't fit in every single thing, but they're going to find people that they say, okay, these, using conservative automation, we're going to find a group of people that aren't in your targeting but might be very relevant, might be very targeted. No automated targeting, they're not going to go after those people at all. Aggressive, it and then ends up being just, basically anybody who's even close. So I like to use conservative, under automated targeting. And what I would do is I use the same ads generally for most of my ad groups. And so you would upload ads here, click create campaign, and that's pretty much how all the different targeting options you have. The best way I like to think about it is, when you're creating or when you're targeting your different audiences, you kind of start with this giant group of people. So it's going to be home improvement and all these different things depending on what you're selling. So, if you're travel, it's going to be maybe you do beach travel, air travel, different things like that. And then layer in demographics for the people who are most likely to convert, the people on your website who are, driving transactions. That's who you want to target. What their age is, what their gender is, what their household income is. I mean, if you're targeting for a high-end vacation, your household income should all be basically top 20% probably, because it's just not that feasible for most people to go on a very high-end luxury vacation, myself included. So always keep those things in mind. You don't want your targeting to be very broad and where people are just going to look at your ad and have no interest whatsoever. You want everyone to have some level of interest, and there's so many different things you can do now on Google in terms of tracking conversions, tracking people who are engaging with your website. So use different conversions. I mean, if you're not able to drive sales right away, try to use duration. If someone's on your website for over 30 to 45 seconds, maybe, or if someone visits 3 different pages, try to use things like that so people are engaging with your content if you're having trouble driving sales, and test all these different targeting options. What I would do is create different ad groups, set my bids pretty similarly, and every ad group I would create would be somewhat similar to this. I'd probably bid the highest on remarketing audiences, maybe similar audiences, but other than that, just test. I mean, that's the main thing with targeting is you need to test. You need to test different ads. You need to test different offers. You need to test different landing pages. So it's not easy, obviously, but the main thing I can give you is come up with a budget, maybe at least $200, and start testing. And if you're not driving more sales, if you're not seeing any increases, then that maybe it's not for you. Maybe you could use a higher test budget depending on what you're trying to sell. But I do recommend pretty much everyone to run at least remarketing audiences on the display network, because when people are visiting your website and leaving and not converting, you want to make sure you add them in. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. The targeting has changed a little bit on the Google Display Network, and there's no longer the Google Display Planner. You can kind of just go into the content area, and that's kind of how you plan your display. So, again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching our video today, and thank you for subscribing.